There was a time when I was trying to reach like some long term goals that I had way back in my past. I was in college. I had a vision for how I wanted things to be, but at the same time, it felt like it was just so very far away. And the one thing I remember doing, and the one thing that I remember falling in love with during that time was just the process, not the destination, but the process. And I want to say that again, not the destination, the process. And the reason why I'm saying that is because on your way to the place that you want to get to, there are tons and tons of lessons to be learned that you will need by the time you get to your destination. Lessons that you will probably apply each and every single day. And it won't be one of those things where you have to consciously remember. Those things will be a part of your standard in the background, things you just kind of do out of habit based on the lessons that you learned along the way to your destination. For going along with that example that I had earlier, basketball, for this, by the time that I had like made the basketball team, I had done practice for so many years. I had applied and gained so many things to my skill sets, but most importantly, there were things that I had gained within my mindset that allowed me to handle the rigors of being able to play basketball at the collegiate level. You look at the NCAA tournament that's going on right now, and our team, Auburn, just recently won against Alabama State. For them to be able to perform at that level, it wasn't about them just taking a few leaps and now they're here in this season having this level of success. No, there were actually tons of details they addressed over and over again, and tons of lessons and micro successes that they actually managed to overcome on the way to the level of success they have during this season. And that doesn't just go for the team collectively as a unit in practice. This goes for every individual and the things they're dealing with and overcoming personally behind closed doors. And I want to also correlate that to most successful people that we see today that are in their element or thriving in their industry, wherever they are. And you guys know who they are, people you look up to, people you pay attention to on TV, on social media. These individuals, in order to get to where they are now and continue to stay where they are now, these individuals had to go through a lot of trials and tribulations to be able to arrive where they are now and stay where they are now. And that's one of the biggest things that we as everyday people can learn when it comes to us not just setting goals, but chasing those goals and striving for those goals. Some of the most important things that you do on your way to that goal is the things you do on a day-to-day basis. Not the biggest and major successes and highlights that you have along the way, but the day-to-day grind, the decision to get up each and every day and do that same thing over and over and over again, the monotonous tasks, the things that can come across as boring or the things that can be or come across as meaningless for the time being, until it's time to maybe do that thing and it becomes very important to where you are in your life in the future. And you have to recall on that muscle memory, that mindset, that discipline that you had worked so hard to gain along your way. I have another example. I have tons of examples for these kind of scenarios. Track and field. I had ran track and field back in the day as well too. I have former teammates who today are established Olympians. Some of them have medals. These Olympians today, back then we were just college students, didn't really stand out in a crazy way in comparison to the rest of the competition. They were good. Some of them were great. But at the same time, some of these individuals, you didn't look at them and just say, oh, you're going to be an Olympian one day. But for the individual that ended up becoming an Olympian, the former teammate that ended up becoming an Olympian, think about what they did back then that led them up to where they are now. I'm not here to tell you or say or claim that it was in their destiny to become an Olympian. But what I am here to say is that they determined their own destiny by making the decision to put in that work over and over and over again, years in advance to get to that main stage, which is the Olympics. I'm sure those moments were some of the biggest highlights of their life. But I'm also here to say that there are, for all of us that are walking around, we can set major goals as well too. But also, just like they made a decision to put in that work day to day, day in and day out, we also have to make a decision to do that, to make consistent progress towards our goals. Because if we don't, a goal you might set might have a requirement of 4 to 5 months, a requirement of 2 to 3 years. And if you ignore that requirement and dilly-dally around it and waste your time, then if it takes 2 years of straight work, if it takes 10,000 hours, as some people might say, and you put in 2 hours today and 2 hours next week, and then 2 or 3 hours next month just for that month, how long is it going to take you to reach 10,000 hours? 2 hours a month, 12 months, 24 hours, on your way to 10,000 hours. You do the math. Good luck. So you have to be able to take the time to put in that time to get you there. If it were a physical destination that's somewhere way off away, miles away, you have to continue to take steps in that direction, knowing that sometimes you're going to be forced to take a few steps left and a few steps right. Those are the trials and tribulations that are naturally going to come with approaching those goals. The obstacles that come in your way that you may have to sometimes stop and say, okay, this is going to take time to overcome. Knowing that you have to get past that and still make it past and go towards that goal. So I want you to think about that. And with that being said, the biggest thing I want to say with this is don't be afraid to take the small steps. You don't have to always take the biggest leaps and bounds. Your success is not dictated or determined by your highlights, despite what most people may think, despite what you see on social media where people are posting their best selves and their best pictures and their best vacations. For some of those who really earn that, think about the amount of time they put in to be able to earn or afford those things. Think about what it may have taken for them to get into that space to be able to even show off that highlight. And this isn't about our highlights here. The highlights come technically as a reward from the work we put in to set up those moments and those circumstances, to set up those lifestyles, to set yourself up for that job, to set yourself up to make that team, to set yourself up to be a part of that organization, whatever that may be. That right there is what it's all about. And I recorded this mad late. It's getting dark outside. You guys probably can't even see me like that at this point. I don't even know. So I guess I'll go ahead and end this video earlier on. But just remember, you don't have to always take the leaps and bounds. You don't have to always be looking for the highlights. Do the small stuff. Make up for the small things going to make up for the big picture. The best pictures and best paintings in history are made up of the most beautiful details. Those details take time. If you want to have those beautiful moments in your life, be willing to address the details to be able to make up that big image that some folks may be looking for, but most importantly, that you are looking for.